Every company I've assessed believed it knew what it had on the internet. Every single one was wrong, usually by a lot. The marketing site from 2021, a temporary dev server. The old vendor portal that never went away. Still online, still yours, still unpacked. Attackers don't need to break into the systems you protect. They can start with the systems you forgot you own, and before we're done, you'll know how to find yours. Your public attack surface is everything connected to your business that faces the internet. The dangerous word there is everything. Most security teams can show me a vulnerability report for the systems they already know about. That report might be hundreds of pages long, but it says nothing about the abandoned subdomain, the forgotten cloud bucket, or the SaaS tool one department bought without telling anyone else. I'm going to show you how this sprawl happens, walk through the Forgotten Asset Hall of Fame, and explain why counting vulnerabilities can create false confidence. Then I'll give you a practical discovery process using certificate records, DNS data, internet search engines, cloud billing, and one surprisingly effective question. The biggest mistake, though, comes after discovery. A perfect inventory could start becoming obsolete almost immediately. We'll fix that too. Here's the simplest definition I know. Your attack surface is every door and window your business has that faces the internet. The problem usually isn't the front door. You know about that one. It has an owner. It gets patched. It appears in the security scan. The problem is the side entrance that isn't on the blueprint. Companies don't build that extra attack surface on purpose. It accumulates like a garage. A developer tests a cloud service. Marketing launches a campaign site. Finance signs up for another SaaS platform. A vendor receives access to Exchange files. An employee creates a subdomain for a project that gets canceled 6 months later. Each decision can make sense at the time. The project ends, the employee leaves, or the contract expires. But the internet-facing asset survives. That's how official inventory and reality separate. One is a clean list of systems people remember. The other is a full collection of exposed assets that still resolve, respond, store data, or accept connections. And once you know the usual hiding places, you start seeing the same forgotten assets everywhere. Let's tour the Forgotten Asset Hall of Fame. These are the patterns I would look for first. Number 1, staging.yourcompany.com. Someone needed a place to test a release. It was supposed to be temporary, so authentication felt like extra work. Then production data was copied over because realistic data made testing easier. The release shipped, the staging system stayed. Now you have an internet-facing copy of a real application, possibly with real data, protected less carefully than production. That is how an internal shortcut becomes the beginning of a security headline. Number 2, the WordPress site for a discontinued product. The product is gone. The team moved on. But the website still answers. Its theme is old. Its software hasn't been maintained. Its plugins are many versions behind. Nobody patches it because nobody remembers owning it. An attacker doesn't care that the product has been discontinued. The server still belongs to your company. Number 3, the vendor file portal. Your contract ended in 2023. The portal didn't. Accounts still exist. Old files may still be present. The business owner assumes IT closed it. IT assumes the vendor closed it. The vendor sees a former customer tenant nobody has asked about. Everyone has an explanation. Nobody has ownership. Number 4, the campaign cloud bucket. Marketing launched a campaign in 2022. An agency needed somewhere to move images, exports, or customer submissions. The campaign ended, invoices stopped receiving attention, and the storage stayed exactly where it was. Cloud resources don't understand that a campaign is over. They remain until somebody removes them. Number 5, the temporary remote access box. An IT administrator needed access during a migration or an emergency. The box solved the immediate problem. Then the administrator left, the migration ended, or the word temporary became historical fiction. It's still reachable. It may be running old software. It may not appear in the current team's documentation. And number 6, the dangling subdomain. Your DNS still points to a service that has been deprovisioned. The name belongs to you, but the destination no longer does. Depending on the service, that abandoned connection can create subdomain takeover opportunities. None of these assets look dramatic when it's created. That's the pattern. They become dangerous through neglect, not ceremony. But the real twist is that a huge vulnerability report can completely miss every single one of them. This is the part most teams get backwards. They ask, how many vulnerabilities do we have? But that question comes too late. First ask, how many internet-facing systems do we have? A 200-page scan of known assets may be accurate and still give you the wrong picture. It can thoroughly inspect every house on your map while ignoring the unmarked building across the street. And attackers can automate discovery. Being too small, too quiet, or too obscure to be found is not a plan. The forgotten system doesn't have to be important. It only has to be reachable and exploitable. That changes the math. Here's the risk model I use because it forces the right question. Risk equals, do I have it? Multiplied by, is it reachable? Multiplied by, is it exploitable now? First, do I have it? That is asset discovery. You cannot secure something that is absent from your inventory. Second, is it reachable? A vulnerable system isolated from the public internet is a different problem from one accepting connections from anywhere. Reachability changes urgency. Third, is it exploitable now? Not every software flaw deserves the same response. What matters is whether the weakness can actually be used against the exposed system now. That is where evidence such as the known exploitation becomes important. The multiplication matters. If your scanner only checks known systems, the first part of the equation is already broken. The tool can rank vulnerabilities perfectly, while an unknown server sits outside the report. Unknown, unpatched, and internet-facing is exactly the intersection automated attackers can search for. They don't need your org chart. They don't need to know which application matters most to the business. They can discover what responds and test what appears exploitable. So discovery comes before prioritization. Build the map, check what is reachable, then decide what matters now. The good news is that you can build a surprisingly useful first map without buying an enterprise platform. Start with certificate transparency records. Open crt.sh and search for your company's domain. Certificate transparency logs contain certificates issued for domain names. The result can reveal subdomains connected to certificates over time. You may see familiar names like mail or VPN. You may also see staging names, old product names, regional systems, and project names nobody on the current team recognizes. That is the oh no moment. Export the results or copy the useful names into a spreadsheet. A certificate record does not automatically mean the system is still active, so verify what currently resolves and responds. The goal is not to treat every result as a crisis. The goal is to generate leads your official inventory missed. Next, enumerate DNS and subdomains. Look at the names your organization publishes and where they point. Record the host name, destination, whether it resolves, what appears to be running there, and who owns it. Pay special attention to records pointing towards services you no longer use. That is where the dangling connections can hide. Third, search your public IP address with Shodan or Census. These services catalog systems they can observe on the internet. Search the address ranges you know belong to your organization. Compare the visible services with what you expected to find. If an unfamiliar remote access service, web interface, or server appears, don't panic. Validate it. Then identify the owner. Fourth, open your cloud console and go to billing. This is one of my favorite inventory shortcuts because billing rarely shares your optimism. Documentation may say a test environment was removed. The bill shows whether resources are still consuming money. Review active services, projects, storage, addresses, and accounts across the cloud providers your organization uses. If you're still paying for it, something still exists. Fifth, talk to the departments. Don't ask, have you created unauthorized technology? That guarantees a defensive conversation. Ask, what tools do you pay for, and what do you use them for? Ask marketing, sales, finance, support, operations, and product teams. Include tools paid by card, purchased through an agency, or bundled into a vendor contract. Put everything into one spreadsheet. Keep it simple. I would start with 6 columns: asset, type, internet address, owner, purpose, and status. Asset might be a subdomain, IP address, cloud source, or SaaS product. Type tells you what it is. Internet address records where it can be reached. Owner names the responsible person. Purpose explains why it exists. Status says active, under review, or scheduled for removal. If an asset has no owner and no current purpose, that is not a documentation problem. That is a decision waiting to happen. Congratulations! You now know more about your public footprint than many teams that only scan the systems already on their list. Now here's how you prove the size of the gap. Run crt.sh on your primary domain, count the subdomains you recognize, then count the ones you don't. Verify those unknown names through DNS and your internal owners. Add the confirmed assets from the public IP searches, cloud billing, and department interviews. Compare that total with your original inventory. That difference is your hidden attack surface. Maybe it's 10% larger. Maybe it's twice the size. Maybe it's 3 times larger. Don't guess, measure it. Then do one thing that reduces the number. Decommission one forgotten asset by Friday. Deleting an unnecessary system is one of the most underrated security controls because a system that no longer exists does not need another scanner, patch, alert, or exception. But remember the final trap. Your spreadsheet is a snapshot. New SaaS signups, subdomains, cloud experiments, and vendor integrations will keep appearing. Within 90 days, that clean inventory can already be rotting. The upgrade is continuous discovery, repeatedly finding what changed, assigning an owner, and removing what no longer belongs. The map is not a document you finish, it is a habit you maintain. If you want the map handed to you, run the free 30-second scan at Threatscope. It shows what is exposed, what matters, and why, in plain English. I built it for this exact problem because many enterprise versions can cost more than $100,000. Full disclosure, it is my product. You can see it at the link below. Then watch the recon breakdown next. It shows how exposed systems are found from the outside, and it will make this entire map much more useful. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.